Just a reminder, there we go, recording in progress. So when we jump into designs, we'll kind of go over that, but that's what we have today. So
David?
as we walk into, oh, somebody have a question? Go ahead, Wendy.
No, that was me. I was just going to add in, I always throw into the cons column of Canva the fact that every single realtor in the country is and can use it, which means all of the images are really overplayed. Whereas with KW, we have unique images and unique templates that are being used by a lot fewer people. There are some houses on Canva designs that I recognize in a heartbeat, and I know exactly that the person made that on Canva because it's the house that's always with Canva.
You're right. That's a good point. Thanks for bringing that up.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Just for devil's advocate. I mean, you guys are here to sell us Command, right? That's why
I'm not here to sell you anything.
Okay. Because I mean, Canva worked really well. There were some glitches in Command. I know that they're ironing things out, which is awesome. And I'm a big Command user. Okay. Because I jumped in at a time where I wasn't using other things. I'm using Command. But that's just what Rachel, our tech person, helped me out. And there were some glitches in Command. So I don't think Canva's all that bad. That's all I'm saying.
No, I don't think, let me be careful. I don't think Canva's bad at all. I like Canva. My point was it's repetitive and you can do everything that you need to do inside of Command versus having to build it, upload it, and edit it by using something else. That's the only difference. I like them both, but I've used it well enough to know, and sure, like anything else, there are glitches at times, and that will always get better. But most tech platforms have a glitch occasionally. But the way that our designs platform integrates with everything else is what gives it a step above for me. And I always just like to highlight, if you're not using anything else, there's no reason to go outside and pay for it, even though there's a free version when everything is inside. That's the difference. Sometimes, and when you're paying for something else, you also be responsible for your financial, your bottom line.
Yeah, I'm doing it for free. I'm doing the free Canva. But yeah, I mean, it seems to me, bottom line is that you guys KW is really working on Command to take it up another notch on every level. I get the impression.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Command is unfinished. And the biggest thing about Command is the undaunting task is that there are a lot of other platforms that systems or tools that our agents use out in the field, right? We talk about Facebook, we talk about Canva, we talk about listings, we talk about different CRMs. And agents have to use a lot of different things, a lot of different logins, and they don't also talk to each other. Command is taking the very audacious task to do all that on one side of one system. And when you try to do something like that, you run into challenges to making it all talk to each other and work. And that takes time. And every day is a little bit better. And every day we roll out new things. So are there premier platforms that do certain elements of Command better because that's what they've been doing for years? Yes. That's okay if I know what the differences are. If I don't know what the differences are and I don't necessarily need to know what the differences are, then that's okay too. All right, so as we roll into today, who's been sharing their mobile app? You guys been getting it out with 10 people a day? Awesome. See, I see no's, I see yeses. And for those of you that don't have your cameras on, you're wrong. David, Regina, Kimberly, John, Tiffany, Gus, and Robin, and Vivian.
That's what you took from that?
That's what I took from that. All right, so tomorrow, as a reminder, have you all done your marketing profile at this point? This was actually from yesterday. And you should have your Mark Center logos with you today. Did you guys get that stuff today? If not, you can go back and we'll show you where to get it. And tomorrow you're going to need to identify, or today, you should have a listing that you can build a flyer around. Does everybody have a listing with them that they're going to be able to do a flyer around today? If not, we'll provide one of those for you too. I have to edit that slide because that's from yesterday. So we already talked about designs in Canvas and some of the differences. You have the ability to create social, prints, emails, edit PDFs. As Sherry mentioned, you can upload a Canva design or a different PDF design and edit it inside a Command like an Adobe PDF editor would work. Similar. The difference is there, it's not like copying a PDF off the Glacier copier, then uploading it and editing. But if you created something where you have basically the original source, like if I created something from Canva and I load it to Command, I could edit some of that inside of Command without having to go log back into Canva. So there's some benefits to that too. You're going to be able to upload your branding material, which we call your assets, which is going to basically be your color scheme, your headshots, your fonts, your contact information. That'll all be hosted inside of the system for you. And when you start branding yourself, nice thing about KW is that you're allowed to create your own themes and your images and color schemes. And the system will allow you to build all that out once you have local marketing approval to market yourself. Otherwise, remember, always talk to your broker if you've got questions about branding yourself or anything other than who you are as an agent. All right. Brand, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump right into Command. We're going to talk about the WeBrand. So WeBrand is our partner in this at the moment. So essentially they're like a Canva. It's a third-party company. So the designs component inside of Command is not built by KW, but we work with a third-party company called WeBrand. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my Command platform here. Everybody see my screen okay? Awesome. So on the left-hand side, underneath designs, right here, we're going to go into WeBrand. And you'll notice you're leaving Command because it kind of spins for a second. And it'll bring, now your screen's going to look a little bit different than mine if you haven't really created anything yet. So what you're seeing here, your previously designs if you've created anything. If not, nothing's going to be here, and that's okay. It's going to have a little reminder here to tell you, make sure you update your marketing profile. The reason you want to do your marketing profile, I'll remind you where that is. Settings, right? On the left-hand side, underneath Connect Settings is your marketing profile. Just like we talked about yesterday, turn on this screen toggle, and all this information you have here will automatically push through to your platform. If nothing's loaded here, then nothing will push through to your designs, and you're going to have to create it. So always start with the marketing profile. Make sure that's complete. Okay. I'm just going to go back to designs now. Now, once you're inside of designs, I hit the ports button. At the top right, you should be comfortable with this. Most of the start buttons are in the top right. You can create a design. Also says import design, which if you're going to import a PDF, if you created something somewhere else, you can do that. But you're going to create a design. So I want you to all do what I do right now. Is everybody with me on this screen? Digital thumbs. Awesome. Thank you, Gus. I want you to click on video. Okay. Then click on continue. Now I want you to search for a neighborhood where you live. In this particular case, I'm just going to type in Pimmet Hills. Actually not. I'm going to do Donaldson. Okay. Then click next.
So you clicked on video?
I clicked on video and then I hit continue. So what we're going to be able to do, it's going to identify the neighborhood. Remember, we partner with Nextdoor in identifying our neighborhoods. So you need to know the name of the neighborhood, right? It's not necessarily going to pull by city. Neighborhood. And so I chose Donaldson Run. There's, and in case you didn't know, there's a whole section in Arlington named after me, which is kind of cool, right? So it's going to pull the data around that neighborhood based off of recent sales. Average sales price, average price per square foot, average days on market. Now, trust but verify. Trust but verify. If you know your neighborhood well enough and there's some variance around these, you want to update these numbers, you can. Just click on the box and change these numbers. You can always go to the MLS, right? Run your data and see if these are on or off. I'm not saying the data we provide is perfect. Okay. Are your consumers going to know that data is wrong? Yes and no, depending on who they are, right? I always like to be as close to possible. It's not going to be perfect, but agents like to be. Hold on one second. Agents like to be perfect, but you don't have to be, but you can be pretty close. Go ahead, David.
So if that information is not auto-populating, is there a reason for that?
There might not be enough sales history in that neighborhood, or sometimes I've seen the neighborhoods are listed twice and there is a repetitiveness in the data. But you can always edit it. Like I said, you can, if for some reason it didn't pull, you can go ahead and populate. Now, right below that, we've got neighborhood features. These are pulling from a third-party platform, right? There are 3, there can only be 3, and there has to be 3, okay? You can click on that and change what they are if you want to update and change those, which is perfectly fine. Your agent information will pull automatically from your marketing profile if you completed your marketing profile, right? That's going to populate for you. All right. For some reason my phone is not there. It's weird. Okay. And then your brokerage information again will also be there if it all is on your marketing profile. All right. Then once you hit next, and I want you to hit next if you're playing along at home, it's going to generate a video. Now, this is really, really cool. It takes about 30 seconds to create one of these. You will need to update them each month if you're going to do it for a particular neighborhood, right? They don't stay live. Once you download it and create it, it's created. But once you hit save and then you can play, this is what you're going to get. What'd you think of that?
Pretty cool.
Cool, unique, different, right? Simple to make, right? You went in, you pick the neighborhood, you verify the data, boom, you're done, right? Then you have it, you can download it, you can share it on Facebook, right? You can send it out to people. You can post it on Facebook and say something like this: hey, don't live in this neighborhood, but would like to know about your neighborhood? Contact me and I'll send you this for your area. Right? There's all kinds of things you can do with it. Just think outside the box. Now, the two things I just want to highlight is one, you saw there was a date on it, so it's not going to stay live, right? So it'll be good for today, and then the date is old, so you may want to change it once a month when you're sending them to people. Two, you saw that all three of the things for the neighborhoods pulled in there, so there was three, and that is the fixed design. You can't change the music, you can't change the video. It just rolls into different data each month. It's a simple, cute little thing that's available for you guys to use, but I always like to kick off with and show you guys that that's readily available. Any questions on that one?
Yes, David.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, my name is Vian. I'm sorry, I never unmute myself, but this time I like to introduce myself. My name is Vian. I just saved a video, but I don't know where can I find it, or and email it to my friends and stuff.
Yeah, so once you create the video, under this all types here, there's a filter. If you go to video, you'll see your videos right
okay,
there.
all type. Yeah, I see that.
Thanks for asking, because I didn't realize before that typically when you create something, they show up on the all types here, but for some reason videos are hiding behind, oh no, here it is, here. But anyways, you can go to filter by type here.
All type.
All type, and then click the three dots and you can download.
Where's the three dots?
When you hover over it. You said you created the video, you went to the filter, you hover over the video, the three dots will be right there on the screen, just like you see on mine.
Oh, okay, hold on. Yeah, I see it.
And then you can download, you can use in campaigns, which we'll talk about tomorrow, and then you can post it directly to, if you click directly post to share, it'll allow you to post to your Facebook business page.
Okay, all right, thank
Talk
you.
a little bit more about that in campaigns tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Thank
so
you.
next, I'm going to create a new design, okay? And now we're going to do a social. So understanding that they're categorized, the reason that they're categorized differently, email, social, print, and video, is because all the different templates that are in the system, right? If I tell it I want to do print, formatting is going to be different, allow me to do print. If I'm going to do social, it's going to know that it's going online, and it's going to format appropriately for Facebook or Instagram or stories and size appropriately. And email, then there's a whole series of email campaigns, okay, that you can utilize. And we'll talk about those a little bit more in detail tomorrow. It asked me if I would like to import photos or text from a listing. Now, if you know right away that you're going in to advertise a listing and you check that box, it'll ask you for an address. If you forget to do that, don't worry. You can do that from inside the system. And that's where I will show you how to add that. But either way, there's no wrong here. I want you to go ahead and we're going to start with a print element because I'm going to show you guys listing presentations and buyer presentations, which are the most, I don't like the word complicated, but the most time consuming creation. But if you can do those, you can do anything. So we're going to start there. So click print and click continue. Okay, give it a second to load. You'll notice that this will rebound out to WeBrand. Okay, so what you're going to see on the screen is a couple of different things. On the left-hand side are categories, right? App, listings, buyer, lead gen, business building, leadership, holidays, professional, luxury, and collections. If you filter by any one of those, you're going to see a whole bunch of categories. I told you there are 2,000 different designs in here already created for you, okay? Across the top, because I told it was print, it knows that there are different print things. There's postcards, there's flyers, and there's different size postcards, okay? Now, before we get into any of the designing elements, you have to set it up first. Let me show you something. Across the top, we've got templates, your designs, if you had created anything previously, right? That's where your folders are. And in your assets. Let's start there. Everybody click on assets, okay? Under your assets, and they change the layout. They do this to me regularly. They change the layout every now and then. So the first thing you see are fonts. So you get to create your own fonts and color tiles. Okay. What that means is on the upper right-hand side, where my picture's at, you may have to move it. There's a little plus button. When you click plus, you'll get a blank tile of colors. And then when you click on the plus for colors, it'll ask you to choose a color, right? What colors to use, and you can either select off of the color wheel, okay? Or you can enter the hex code number if you have a specific one, RGBs if you know that, right? If you use the color types, or HSLs. So it all depends. If you had a graphic designer or somebody created them and you knew the specific color coding, you can enter those in here, or you can just select them off the screen. Right below that are web fonts. If there's specific fonts that you like, you can either upload them from the web, okay, or I can choose from the fonts that are already in the system. Because I know some people are married to certain fonts. Okay. Calistoga. These are just different versions of fonts that are already in the system that I'm using. Build your own color palettes and tell the system what fonts you prefer to use. Some people won't even know, and that's okay too. You don't have to pick a font type. You don't even have to load a color palette if you don't want to. Certain people do more things when it comes to graphic designs. Any questions on this particular screen? Remember, we're just adding your assets at this point. All right. Right below that on the left are images. There are certain images that you use over and over and over again in your marketing materials, right? One of those might be the Equal Housing and Opportunity logo. It might be the Realtor logo. I have those loaded. Now I'm going to show you they're also in the system because they didn't used to be, but they are. And then a couple of QR codes that I've used over time and my little smiling face. If you've got different photos that you're going to use of yourself, load them here, right? It's going to pull your headshot from your marketing profile, but you can always upload, as you see upper right-hand side, additional pictures of yourself to use in your marketing, right? Some like the leaning shot, as I have here. Some like the headshot, right? Some have like where it's just an overlay, like we talked about the difference between JPEG, right, and PDF, where they insert, where they look like they're leaning on something, but they're really not. Whatever you have, you can load here to always access when you're building out your materials. Any questions on images? Okay. Titles, anything that you repeat all the time in your building, phone numbers, contact information, address, name of your business, right? Email address. A lot of that will pull. And then other things you can add custom created fields of things that you always type over and over and over and over again. Just an example, okay? Branded assets below that. This is where your logos go, right? So I've got different logos in here, and this is another perfect. So this white one with a white backdrop, that's a JPEG, right? Because it's on a box. This one that has no white box, that's just an example of a PNG. Same with this one, PNG, because there's no white box behind it. So different logos you might have, okay? Get your Market Center Tech Trainer, get your office logos and get them loaded into your system, okay? I will show you where you guys can download those real quick. I'm gonna open up a new tab here. If you all go to KW Connect, inside of KW Connect, there is a marketing folder, okay? Underneath resources, below resources, you'll see a marketing tab. And then you'll see a tile for logos and branding. The first thing you're going to see that I do recommend you download is basically when you join KW, they give you the right to market yourself as a business, okay? But you also have to comply with KW's rules and your local laws. This style guide tells you what you can and can't do with the KW logo. I recommend that you all read it. Basically what it's telling you is that you can't change it or modify it in any way. And believe it or not, you can't even use KW in your personal brand. I had an agent whose initials were KW and wanted a KW domain. Actually, she's not allowed to have one. Just little things to know.
Can you back up the process to where you got to this, David? You went to KW Connect, you went to resources, you went to marketing,
That's correct.
and then,
Logos and branding.
okay. Yeah, and the last thing you were on in, I didn't
What-
have the same.
Once you're in logos and branding, the style guide is there. You can click and you can download it. It's like 33 pages, good light reading before you go to bed. But you definitely want to check it. And if you're using a marketing company, you should send that to them as they're creating things for you, right? Because just by belonging to KW, you've already agreed to these terms. You need to know what they are. Now you scroll down a little bit more, it's going to say, hey, Market Center logos. You all are in different market centers, and not all market centers have created logos. So you may not find yours here. But I'll just give you an example. It's like our market center for KW United. If you actually type in United, you're not going to see our market center number there. You see a different one, but it's okay to use this one. If you're in Falls Church, Kingstown, or Fredericksburg, any other of you cannot use this logo. You have to use your own, right? If you're in Metro Center, I don't know if theirs is in here. Or, you know, Arlington. Always check with your market center and make sure you have the right ones. But once you enter it in, and I'll use United here as an example, and you download it, you're just going to download all the versions of the logo to your personal computer. And you'll see EPS, you'll see PNG, and you'll see JPEG. And there'll be red and white copies, black and white copies, all different variances, like you saw that I have here in my system. That's where they all come from. If under resources, if under marketing, your market center does not show up, talk to your market center tech trainer, okay? And then load whatever you need to use in your system. Load them right here. All right, there's additional assets in here where you can sync. I don't use these right now, but you can upload different emojis, icons, likenesses. For those of you that are heavily into marketing, this just allows you to access all of those different things. You can attach video if you have like a little intro video about yourself. You can add links, and you can upload other images. Maybe there's some monument stones from neighborhoods or pit pool or exterior shots. Wendy talked earlier about the same photos that go around all the time. If you've got great imagery from your listings that you want to use over and over again in your marketing, upload a couple of those pictures. Sherry.
I don't have the same thing you're seeing. I'm in Command, I'm under My Designs, I'm under Assets, and in the left-hand side, it doesn't have the choices that I see on yours.
It's quite possible it looks a little bit different because I have a test version, so they play around with mine on the back end. That doesn't always look exactly the same as yours.
Yeah, mine says images, text, logos, elements, videos, and files. That's it.
They're right. They're all essentially the same thing, but they must be working on some coding on the beta side of things. That's why my screen looks a little bit different.
So you have the advanced version.
Sometimes it goes backwards, but essentially you're still getting the same things, right? Fonts, images, videos, titles, they're all the same things. But for some reason, whatever, there must be working on something on the file drawer here on my side. That's either reworking the names of the order on the coders that hasn't been released. It's still what we call behind a flag. So you'll see that sometimes there'll be little differences in what you see from my screen versus yours. Sometimes I know it, sometimes I don't. So I try to point this out. So that's assets, right? So take your time, build out your file drawer, build out your own personal assets. So you don't have to load them every time and go find them on your computer. That's really what the benefit of having these things loaded into the system for you. It saves you time. First time you got to do it. Second time, it's just easier. Third time, it's really easy. Anything else becomes repetitive in nature. Sherry, do you have another question? Okay. All right, so now I'm going to jump back out to templates. Because what I mentioned, the great thing about designs is that it's got all these templates, so I don't have to start from scratch, right? I don't have to be creative. Not everybody is. So in this particular situation, as I mentioned, I'd like to start with buyer presentation. So I'm going to go to buyer on the left-hand side. Is everybody back here under templates? Now, if you didn't choose print, you will see different. If you chose social or email, you're going to see different options. I chose print. So what you see on my screen will only surface if you show print. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and look at buyer, and under buyer, there's buyer presentation. Everybody with me? When you click on buyer presentation, you're going to see a couple of options. Okay. Understand that these options, there's 5 of them, content-wise are the same. It's the look that's different, right? Red, white, black. That's the difference here, not the content itself. So I'll trip up over on that. What I recommend is that if you're going to print, that maybe you don't use the black, because you can use a lot of black ink. And I know a lot of you have to pay for prints in your market center, so I'm looking out for you, right? I usually use one of the white versions here. Go ahead and just pick any one of these. Doesn't really matter for testing purposes. Go ahead and click use, okay? And when that loads up, you're going to open up in an editor, all right? So give that a second to load. And on the left-hand side, when this all populates, what you're going to see are all the pages. Drops the images come on in this first sheet, but at the top left here, see templates. That's all the pages that are available to me inside of this templated buyer presentation, right? You do not have to use every single page. You get to pick which pages you want to use, okay? So they're not all already there. You actually say, hey, this plus one, I want the cover page. Then I maybe want the client page, but maybe I don't want the table of contents. So you're just clicking plus and it adds them to your creation, okay? Now, it is important, especially the first time you walk through this, to see what is here, okay? This second page, and I've seen this happen a lot, is a buyer consult page. If I click on this, basically what this is a description for you, and it's telling you what you should be doing. I've seen people print this off and include this in their marketing material because they don't read or listen to me, right? Inspect what you expect. Protect your assets. See what I did there, right? Don't assume those assets to be correct. Preview everything. Have somebody else look at everything. Don't be that person. There's a lot of those people out there. I get those complaints all the time. This is wrong, and I sent it out, and how embarrassing. I'm like, did you read it? No, I just sent it. Right, Wendy? Don't be that person. So this kind of just outlines, gives you some instructions. So see, it says right at the top, remove this page, highlight it in yellow, remove this page. Right. So if you load it to read it, that's fine, but make sure you don't include it when you print it and send it. So as you walk through these things, what's really cool, and I'll just start with client. I'm just going to add a couple pages. I'm not going to add them all, but I'm just going to grab one or two just so you can see. There's what evergreen content is default content. So some of these pages have information on them, right? This is a wish list of what buyers may look for. Right? We're giving you content to use. Do you have to use it? No. Can you edit it? Yes. So just look at this page, right? I click on this page and I click on this text box. I can edit whatever's in that text box. Click right in it. I can edit, I can change. I can change the heading. I can click on any one of these things and make a change. So that's good and bad. Sometimes people don't pay attention to where they're clicking and change things and don't know what they did. Right? So always be conscious of what you're doing. When you click on any of these different boxes, you see that at the top of your page, your navigation bar changes with what you can do in those boxes. It recognizes that this is bold. It recognizes that this is red. It recognizes the font. It recognizes the font size. It recognizes the font type. You can change all of that. Completely up to you, right? This in turn, you're taking a template and then you can create your own template from that. Does that make sense? You're going to create your own template. You can also change the photography. If I click on this picture, I can change this picture, right? So on the left-hand side, and I go from templates, right? I go to images. I could swap out with any of my pictures that I already have, or I can click workspace, which there are default pictures that KW provides. Just like Canva. But if I said, I don't like this picture, for whatever reason, okay, I can swap it out. See how easy that was? Click on the picture. See the picture you like that you want to swap it out with. And this is important. I want to point this out. If I just click on the picture, hold on one second. If I just click on the picture, it's going to add a picture over top. Okay, see how I just dropped it on top? And that's not what I wanted. So I'm going to delete that. If I click in the picture, it knows where the picture is. And then I come over to the new pictures, I get a different option. I get a replace option. Get these little circle arrows. That knows that I'm replacing a like for like, size for size in that particular box. And I can just swap it out. Now I could also add a secondary image if I wanted to, or I can just swap them out. This is why I always tell you when you're doing things like this, part of your action steps, part of your homework leaving today is to go start playing with these things. Because here's what's going to happen. Don't be this person. It's going to be Sunday morning. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. You have to go meet with somebody at 1 o'clock, or you've got to go do an open house and you haven't done this yet. And then you think you're going to jump right in. You're going to bang this out. You're going to panic. You're going to mess up and you're not going to know what to do. And you're going to get upset. And then you're not going to be able to get a hold of your Market Center Tech training because it's Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. You got to use your tools, improve your skill set, and play with these things now. David, go ahead.
So on your screen, you see the page that you're editing currently. You see all the gray space behind that page. Is there a way to make the page bigger for those of us with poor eyesight?
Like that?
Well, yeah, but that enlarged the whole thing, so you're not seeing. Can you enlarge just that page without enlarging the rest of the screen, if that makes sense?
The fit plus or minus in the bottom right.
Thank you. I didn't understand. So,
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
yeah, I usually just zoom in, but when the fit works too. That way you don't lose your tools.
Right.
I see what you're saying there. Good question. Thanks, Wendy. Now, again, different things, right? So see like that gray background as you mentioned. So at the top, because I'm now, so you have to be conscious of what box you're tipping on, right? There's all kinds of different layers and boxes. So all of these designs are 100% open. There's nothing locked on here, which is good and bad, right? Because everything is editable. So you have to be conscious of what you're clicking on. So I could change this color background too, right? What if I wanted, so let's go back to the gray. Right? But maybe I wanted to use this gray. See the gray in her socks right here? You like that? Check this out. What if I say I wanted to change the color to match the gray in her socks? See this little teardrop down here? Does everybody see that? Click on the teardrop. Now hold that teardrop over the gray. Let's go with the darker gray in her sock. No, I'll lose the print. No, actually, let's grab this green. See the green on the comforter? Watch what happens next. How's that, Miss Canva user? Pretty cool, right?
Yeah,
So
that's cool.
this
Rachel
is-
didn't even point some of these things out. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of little things, right? That would be like an advanced step, but I like to point that out because people are like, oh man, this is the real customization that you get to pull into your designs or even your individual templates. Because while I said you might turn this into a master template for yourself, right, as a buyer presentation or a listing presentation, that you should customize it if you have the time to your particular audience. Or you might take your template and then enhance it and modify a copy of that for your specific need. Like take it 80% of the way there and then customize it to your audience. Lots of little things that you can do around this. If I come back to templates here, right? So I'm marking on here. I've got text, just so you know. I got these little the bubbles recognize that I haven't really done this before. So the bubbles pop up as directions of how to do different things, right? I can add text. So therefore I can add banners, right? Which are these cool little Canva looking widgets, right? Of different stamps or bubbles that you like to add that people get really creative with. Those are all underneath here. David's cheering. David's loving what I'm saying. Or he's talking to somebody else. I'm not sure. Oh, the puppy's there. Oh, we like the puppies. So get comfortable, read through everything that's in here. Change out, make it customized for yourself, right? Play around with all the different screenshots or all the different pages that are in there and edit that works for you. It's going to take you some time. But knowing how to edit these tools, how to play around with them, right? Adding text boxes, right? I can just click on text or add an image. Maybe here on this page, I wanted to drop in, right? Maybe I wanted to drop in a little QR code that I created, right? You guys want to have this, but it's something that I loaded that actually takes them to my mobile app. Maybe I drop that on that page and they don't know what it is, but so if they get intrigued, so they just click on it, right, with their phone and it opens up my mobile app on their side. So I added a little QR code. You're not limited to a lot of things here, right? Pretty cool. Do you guys know how to create a QR code?
Kyle showed us yesterday.
Okay, good.
Go ahead and show us again. Right click
Yeah.
on the,
On any page you're ever on, so I'll just go to my,
but you have to do it from Google Chrome, right? Not Safari.
correct, you have to be in Google Chrome. There we go. So this is my app landing page, right? So from my app landing page, give it a second to load. Come on. My home network is at a crawl today.
How about DuckDuckGo? Just kidding.
Well, that's not loading. Anyways, oh, there we go. Once you're on any page in Chrome, okay, and you right click on the page, you get this little create QR code for this page. Save it, download it, right? Load it, clear images of something you can do over and over again. And this is great for anything, right? So if you're doing a listing presentation, then you could use your mobile app. If you're doing a landing page for a listing, you could go to the actual listing on your website for 123 Main Street, right click on that and create a QR code that will take them right to your mobile app on your page for that particular listing. So think outside the box again on all these different tools you have at your disposal. All right, now, I'll come back to that. So learning how to utilize this, you're going to change it. You're going to make sure you save it. If you're collaborating with somebody, you can share the workbook, right? If you have a marketing or designer, you could share the link. This is not something typically you would post directly to Facebook, but it doesn't have that linking integration there. Some things that work, some things it doesn't. Like I said, here's the project share. If somebody else is working on that and you're collaborating with somebody. As you click on different things, download, right? So you can print it off. Different drawings and shapes that you can add to your screen, frames, right? We're all familiar with frames, right? Text boxes, draw different shapes that I want to add to a stream. So you can really be creative as you want to be on anything.
Are those frames if you want to drop in another picture? Those are picture frames?
That's correct. Right, see the difference. So shapes are shapes, right? Frames are expecting me to add an additional image to it. So maybe so let's just go. So let's do this. Let's just delete that. And then let's add a frame. Let's drop that in there. Oop. I could just drop something like that on there. So you can always do different things. Have fun with it. But if you don't want to, don't get overly creative about it either. All depends on who you are. Templates. There's a lot. So learning, the hardest thing is not the doing, the hardest thing is the navigation, like anything else inside of our platform, right? There's so much there because we give you so much control. So be careful and don't change too much. The reason I started on the listing presentations because that's the most you'll change on things. And if you could start playing around with this, then anything else you go to create in the system, flyers, social media pages, they're going to be a lot easier. So start with a buyer presentation, start with a listing presentation, you'll be good to go. Now I'm going to jump back out of here. I'm just going to come back to my home page because I want to show you. I'm not going to save that. A couple other things that I want you to know about on the print side that are kind of cool. All right. Give that a second to reload. I showed you buyers. There's also listing presentations, which we talked about right there. Underneath, no, that'll be Jen. It's actually underneath business building. Or at least it used to be. Lead generation. So does anybody know what American Lifestyle Magazine is? You may have heard of that. So KW, believe it or not, gives you your own magazine to use. Which people don't know this is here. Now it's not American Lifestyle Magazine, okay, but it's a KW provided magazine. And it works just like I showed you with the listing or buyer presentations. You can come in here under professionally branded magazine, under lead generation. Will only show up under print, okay? And you'll see a couple. There is last quarter one, quarter two, or that's quarter four, right? Quarter three, quarter two. Let's just go to home for the holidays because it's where we are now, right? Use that. It'll look in format just like the listing presentation. It's got a ton of evergreen content in there. It's completely editable, right? You can even put information about some of your vendors. There's a couple of different, if I go back to templates here, there's a couple of different home pages or cover pages typically. The first three are just three different versions of the home page, cover page. Then there's an intro from you. If you don't know what American Lifestyle Magazine, it's a magazine that agents can pay for to use to brand themselves. And typically what you get is to change your little headshot on the cover page, and you get the add an introductory page in there. And that's really about it. There's not a lot of customization. Everybody gets the same evergreen content. In here, it's completely editable. So you can use the evergreen content we provide. You can upload pages, you can edit pages, you can add your own listings, your own success stories, information about your team, your marketing stats, right? And then there's evergreen content too, which you don't really need to change. Some people do, but you don't need to, right? So we give you those things. 10 ways to keep holiday stress at bay. Like, you know, Vicky likes to stress out over the holidays. Here's breathe, something she can utilize, right? But you can scroll through here, look at all these different things, edit them, download them, print them, right? Now, because it's a magazine, just printing off on your local printer is not necessarily the best thing to do, right? But if you download them, you take it to Kinko's or FedEx and show them what you're doing, they can print a nice cover page, they can bookbind them for you, and then you can go. So right now, you can create these things inside of us. We just won't give you the ability to print them yet. We're working on that. But you can take them to an outside print shop, and then you can go send them, mail them, whatever you want to do to 50 people or 50 businesses. 50 is a nice round number. You can the dentist's office, lawyer's office, anywhere you go, or mail them directly to your consumers, and they can put them on their coffee tables, and you get one each quarter. Magazine. This came out about a year ago now. It's pretty cool. Still, most people don't know it's there, and they don't take advantage of it. So once a quarter, we give you a brand new magazine to use. Did you guys know this was there? Nobody? Good. Learned something new today. All right, let me come back home.
David, do you know about how much it costs to get one of those printed per piece?
Depends on what print shop you go to. There's a company called Brandco, Brandco.
Yeah, they
They'll
do
do-
our cards.
Yeah, they'll do them for $1.50 each.
I wonder if that's a pretty good bang for your buck or not.
That is
Anyway.
a thing. I'm not going to lie. That's a
No, I
thing.
don't mean the $1.50. That's good. I mean, putting out a magazine, going through all that to put a magazine out. If you ever get any clients from it.
Remember, it's not always about lead generation as much as it is just kind of keeping your brand out there, right? I don't necessarily know if you're going to get a lot from a doctor's office by having this there, but if you send these consumers, they're going to keep it on their coffee table. So it's another touch that keeps you in front of them, and at that cost, $150 plus whatever your postage would be to send this out to them once a quarter. That's the value, right? It's not necessarily cold lead generation. It's warm lead generation and keeping you in front of your people. Make sense? Because people come to their house for the holidays, they start thumbing through it, they see whatever's in, like, oh, your realtor sends you this? How cool is that? My person doesn't send me that. And what do? They see your QR code and they scan. So think outside the box. All right. I'm going to jump now to, I'm just going to come all the way out of designs because I want to do a social creation real quick. These are the easy ones to do. So I'm going to close out of this. I'm going to come back into KW, into my designs, right? And I'm going to create a new design called social. So we did video, we did print. We'll cover email tomorrow. Social is where I'm going now. Okay. So think social would be like a Facebook post or an Instagram story, Pinterest, wherever you're going to post things. Okay. So once I tell it I'm doing a social post, it's going to give me different versions. So the left-hand side is going to be similar topic wise. And then across the top, I'll see the difference. Before I went to print, it asked me if I was doing postcards or flyers, right? So now I told it I'm doing social. So it recognized, okay, you're looking for social squares or you're looking for the wides, right? Am I looking to post something about a listing? A coming soon? You see stories, right? Stories are the long boards, right? So I've got stories, right? You've got Instagram stories, Facebook stories, social squares, which works pretty well everywhere. Social wides, it's more banner driven type stuff. So just so you know, the formatting is all defaulted for you, depending on what you're looking to do. So now let's just kind of do a for sale. Now you remember when we first went in, it asked me, would you like to include pictures from a listing? And I didn't pick one, but I could have. But right now I didn't. So watch what I can do. Let's just go in here and say, hey, let's like one of these designs. I'm just going to go ahead and use this story. Okay. I'm going to say, I'm going to use this one. Now what I want to do is I need to customize it so I can add information about a listing. Now on the left-hand side here, KWLS. Does everybody see KWLS? So KWLS is where all the listings are. So think of it as Bright or your local MLS. Okay. Because what we do is we pull all the listings from your local MLS. And all listings, not just your listings, all listings are in here. All across the entire world. Well, United States, Canada, are in here. So when I click KWLS, I can actually go search for a listing. All right. So if I just type in, anybody have an active listing right now? Or know of an address I can type in here? I usually pull them, but I didn't take the look today. I just type in something random. All right. No. Let's just do this one. There we go. So I'm just going to grab this one from Alberta, Canada. And I'm going to go ahead and click select. Once I click select, it's going to pull all the MLS pictures. See how quickly it loaded all the MLS pictures? They're all there. And not only that, it pulled all the listing details. Property address, price point, property description, bedrooms, bathrooms. All that information is now automatically available to me to add to this template, right? So now I can go, great, I've got this kitchen layout. I want to swap this from this kitchen template to the actual property kitchen. Let me scroll down here and click on that little recycle image, right? Replace image. Zip, zap that in. Or no, that's not the one I want. I actually want that one. That's a pretty cool one, right? See how easy that was? That's sexy, right? Can't do that in Canva. Just saying. All right. Down here, I've got the property address. Now, some boxes are easy to type into. Some of them are easier to swipe. I like flipping out the pictures nice and easy. Address, all right, let's just try that. I could go there. I change from picture to listing details. I see the addresses right here, right? And I can click swap. See how it formatted that box? Now, the box size is different based off the information that's there. So I might have to move some things around a little bit. So I need to just drag this arrow. So I need to move that over to allow for a bigger box because there's more information, right? Now I can either click right in that box. I'll zoom in for David. Helps you put your glasses on, David. I'm just saying. Now I could type right in the box here, but I have glasses too. But instead of typing in the box, let's just make the box a little bigger so it all fits. I have this element at the top that's called typewriter. Okay. I prefer the typewriter versus trying to type right in the box. Here's what typewriter does. It recognizes the box, recognizes what's in the box, and allows me to kind of, in this little window, type right in there. So I can delete that. Take the county for whatever reason, Foxville. So I don't want the whole city. I'm just going to put the street address on there. Take out the comma and hit save. And then it just changed it right in the box. And I go, well, you know, I don't need this box this big anymore. Bring the arrow back. Here. Or maybe I want to make the arrow a little bit bigger. Let me do that. So you can have, or I can take it on an angle. You can do different things. But I like the typewriter. It makes my life a little bit easier. Sometimes it's easier just to retype than swapping in this detail. Right? If you know what the detail is, I can look over and go, great. it was built in 2012. Instead of swiping that in, it's easier for me just to change the date. Personal choice and how expeditiously you want to work on things, right? For sales, for sale. Maybe I change that and go, well, maybe I'm going to do open house. Turn it into an open house flyer. Bed and bath. See how this is a one text box, 3 bed, 2 bath, 2,800 square feet. But over here, I know there's the details. These are all single things. So it's easier for me to just go into the typewriter and go, okay, it is actually 6 bedrooms.
Hey,
4
Dave,
baths. Yeah.
couldn't you just go in your left-hand column there and click replace on every single one all the way down?
You could, but because this is one text box, this is what I'm trying to show. So this is one text box. Let me hit discard here. These are individual things. So I'd have to go in here, and once let's just do this real quick. If I change this to bedroom, it's only going to swap the bedroom. It's not going to identify that there are 4 different things there.
No.
So that's why I was saying sometimes it's easier just to type. Does that make sense? You have to identify, are these individual text boxes? No, in this case, there were 4 things inside of one text box. And I can't swap all 4 of these things because they're identified as 4 different line items. And that just comes through playing with the system a little bit and what you get used to doing. Now, I can say in the future, there are going to be some components that once we're a little further down the road, okay, don't ask me for a date because I can't give you one, but once I choose a property and I choose a template, those things will swap in automatically and I won't have to replace them. That's something we'll have in the future, which will be nice. But right now, this is kind of how it works. Fair? Right? But it does jump and it knows when I click on a certain text box, like here's my DBA logo, which says DBA. But when I clicked on it, it knows that I have to swap that out for something else. So they're smart enough to know or jump to images or text, right, for certain things. Now, I happen to say, hey, give me this listing this time, right? But if I didn't have any listing pictures, I could go to workspace and just choose some from there. Right? If I didn't have a particular listing. Now, the one thing I told you was that it pulls all the KWS or all the listing information. What's the one thing that wouldn't pull? Let's see how long you guys have been licensed and how well you know this. Why would my photography not come through on a listing? Any thoughts?
Aren't you the owner of it?
No, this isn't my listing, right?
Oh.
But if I was looking for a property that I knew was in the MLS, but the pictures aren't there, why do you think that the pictures wouldn't be there? Does our MLS syndicate coming soon?
No.
It's not. So if you have a coming soon listing, right, in the MLS, which you're allowed to do, but you're not allowed the mass market wide. So coming soons don't syndicate that way, right? Because that's a restriction out on KW, but on Brightside and MLS sides, right? We're working on that, but we cannot pull that data yet. So if it's a coming soon, or you took the photography, right, and you didn't load it in the MLS yet, you didn't upload your pictures yet, it didn't pull anything yet. So that in that case, you might have to upload, right? If you go to images, there's an upload option, there's add, where you would load something from a drive or your computer if they're not in the MLS or the MLS is not syndicating yet. So that's a hang up that people get sometimes. Hey, I've got this picture, it's in the MLS, but it's coming soon. So we can't pull that data yet. The MLS doesn't allow that to go out. Or it's not active yet, but I had the pictures loaded. Well, we can't pull it because it's not active yet. So you would have to manually load the pictures. So the two.
I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
go, David.
Do you know if the MLS will syndicate lots?
Yeah, land's in here.
Okay.
Yeah, because when I was looking through, when I did my KWS search, as long as it has an address, right? When I started to type in, let's just come back here, and I searched by, when I typed in Ashburn at one point, and I hit search. I know I saw some lots in here. So yeah, as long as it's in the MLS, it'll pull. But remember, commercial does not syndicate.
All right.
If it's not in the MLS, it's got to be in the MLS, right? So there's some weirdness around commercial because commercial is marketed completely different. All right, so that's so let's go back. So this would be a social media post. Okay. So once this is in here, you can download it. You can share it. Now, this is a little step. If I click share, it's going to allow me to post directly to my Facebook page. I click Facebook and I have Facebook connected on the back end. It's going to allow me to do that. If you do this, it will post to your business page. However, what I don't like about this is that actually the link will come up as a WeBrand link. Okay, that's just the way that Facebook looks at things. So what I recommend that you do is that you download your imagery first, then you go to your Facebook page and load it there, because then the thumbnail comes up clean. You get to change the wording around it. You have a lot more customizable features than just sharing it directly from command. And that's a Facebook restriction, not a command limitation, right? You guys know when you post things on Facebook, you can upload a thumbnail and an image and things like that. You can change the words, everything. If you share a link from another page on Facebook, it gives the syndication to the original source. You want to be the original source. So uploading it directly from your command or your desktop is what you want to do. Download it, then upload it. Right now, that's the best way to streamline things. And again, run a test, right? I'll just show you real quick, I'll give it a second, but if I actually just click share this, Facebook, let's click share. It'll go to my Facebook page in just a minute, but it takes a minute and I'll let you know when it's up. But what you will see is that it'll recognize that it came from WeBrand and just the way that it's stamped on my page. But I just don't like the way that that looks. Personal choice and best practice. See if it loads. Sometimes it takes a couple minutes to load. Usually never quick enough in my classes. All right, so today we covered video. Today we covered listing and buyer presentations. Today we covered how to create a social design. We taught you how to load your assets. We taught you how to surf the intranet or the internet, the MLS for all active listings, not just yours, right? How to build flyers, how to build postcards, how to build, we didn't go in all those things, but they all function the same way, right? Now, if I had done postcards under print, I could send those out to print and I could send those out to go to a particular neighborhood. I don't have enough time in 1 hour to walk all the way through that, right? But you can always jump on with your Market Center tech center and say, hey, I want to send postcards to my neighborhood. And the cool thing is inside a command, you could say, hey, do it around a radius, or I can upload a list. It'll pull all the addresses and you don't need to add all the labels and everything like that. They'll send them out to print. You get charged for that, right? But I use a company called Direct Mailers that will send all that information out for you. So who has questions around designs?
Hey, David, I don't have any questions regarding designs necessarily. First off, thank you. Phenomenal stuff there. But I did try to, going back a bunch of classes, I did try to upload contacts just while I have you. It's just an off topic question. Okay. And it's, I uploaded the sheet, if you will, and it said submitted. So, you know, which means I thought that it would go through. Either way, my long story short, my contacts still aren't there. So it didn't work for whatever reason, but it did say submitted. So,
well, what I would ask you to do is just email me. We could take a look at that. There was some glitch, something what was wrong on the import form. I'll be honest, it typically revolves around using the wrong form. Right? Okay. Typically, like if you're loading are you using Apple? And
I'm using an Apple computer. I did download the whatever sheet it suggested on there, obviously. And I did.
Right. When you downloaded it, Apple will try to convert it to numbers.
Yep. And then I converted it back to CSV or whatever it was. dot.
But did you do it in Excel?
I got to do it from Excel to CSV.
Yes.
So what happens if I export it to Excel and then export it to CSV?
Well, remember, Excel is a CSV, right? But there's a Excel.text, Excel.csv. You just have to, now we can get those loaded. I'm not worried about that. We can get your data. If you email me, I'll walk you through it. We can get it done.
Okay, cool.
Not a problem at all.
Awesome.
Yep. Anybody else have a question around designs or anything else?
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead, Tiffany.
Hey, I may have missed it. I see where you can share it to social media. How do I share it? Like if I wanted to send it out in an email?
You would just download it.
Okay. Just download it and save it to my Google Drive or something like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Download it, upload, attach. Now, tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit about email campaigns. And there's some certain layouts and certain things that you can use. Right now, we're working on some better ways to uploading formats for straight email through command right now, like through smart plans and things like that. Don't have all the attached elements that we're going to have. But right now, the best play is just to download it and attach it to your email.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thanks.
Absolutely.
I have a question, David.
Go ahead. For
Hi,
Reba.
Reba. Yes.
Reba.
How much does it cost, do you know, for the postcard campaign?
Depends. Depends on the postcard you choose. Depends on the finishes that you choose. Depends on the number of postcards that you choose.
Does it tell you when you start choosing?
Yeah, it'll calculate all that before you go ahead and hit send.
Okay, I missed most of today's. Could you tell me where I can find the video to watch it later?
So all of our classes are recording and usually up around 10 o'clock the next day on our YouTube channel. And I'll go ahead and put that into Slack for you guys.
Thank you.
Give me 1 second to pull that up. There's a what I call a playlist, a November class playlist on the YouTube channel. And all the previously recorded classes are there. Unclick on it. Basically, you guys now in chat. You're going to see a picture or not. And it'll start playing off. It'll start off in the first class, but you can click on any one and watch it. If you subscribe to the channel, every time we load a new class, you'll get notified that there's a new video to watch. Any other questions floating around out there?
Just a little shared tip, which I'm sure you know, David, is Vistaprint seems to have the best price. I mean, it can range from, I just got 450 made for about 100 something bucks as compared to hundreds of dollars from other companies. And also if you call them and ask them for a promo code, I got 33% off with a promo code.
That's why there's so many different price options out there. The one in Command is pretty good and it's convenient, but it's always good to shop around and see what's out there. I like the Command one because I can download and zap it. But honestly, I don't do print. Like I've been licensed builder for 14 years and I haven't sent anything out for print in 10. So I don't use that feature. Some people do it heavily. I just don't.
I didn't know Command had that feature.
Yeah. Yeah, you can send postcards right from Command. We didn't go into postcards today because just fact of time, but if you walk through the setting up a postcard, you can pick it by neighborhood, by address, you can add, deselect, select, and send them right out and they'll automatically go out.
Wow, I wonder what that is a piece.
They're not, people use them all the time. I can't quote a price to you, but like I said, somebody was asking the question earlier, I think maybe it was Tiffany or Fariba, but hold on. You'll see all that when you create it before you click send. And you have to upload a credit card for billing and everything like that. And it uses a third-party company called Direct Mailers. It's not actually through KW.
Okay.
I did say earlier that printing wasn't there for the listing presentations and the magazines, but for postcards it is. For flyers it is. It's the multi-page booklets that we don't have the capabilities of yet.
Thank you.
So let me ask you now, Sherry. You're going to give designs another look? Okay. Awesome.
For sure.
Excellent. That's okay. Look, let's just say I don't tell, I educate, right? It's you guys, it's your businesses. You run it the way you need to do. And some things aren't there yet. And I'm completely honest and transparent about that. But I want you all just to be informed to know completely what it actually does. And that's usually what it comes down to, is most people don't understand all the features. And I honestly only showed you a smaller part, and the best thing to do is to kind of go in, play around. And if you're looking for it to do something on, chances are it does. And round back with the Market Center tech trainer so they can show you, yeah, it does this or it doesn't do that. Or if they're not sure, we can find an answer. Remember, answers.kmw.com is your friend for a lot of these things to walk you through all that stuff, right? Remember, answers.kmw.com, that's basically like Google.
But it does a lot of cool stuff. Yeah. The listing presentation, the buyer presentation, merging it with the
That's the
KW.
answer for it. Yeah, it does all that stuff.
Awesome.
Well, listen, that's it. So it's 11:15. We're going to jump off. Tomorrow, we're going to go into campaigns, right? So that's going to be like lead generation through Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, email campaigns, taking maybe some of you created designs and sharing that out with your database. We'll jump into that tomorrow. Thanks for all coming. Thanks for sticking with us for all these classes, and I'll see you all soon.
Thank you so much.